morning. We're glad that you're back with us. We're here back for another session of sermon Q&A with John. John preached yesterday on Romans chapter 12, verses 1 through 8, which is really great that we're getting into Romans 12 now after Romans 9 through 11. We're getting to some practical applications of the gospel. And as Romans 12 starts, in view of God's mercy, in view of all these things, here's how we're to live. So in light of that, give us a little bit of a snapshot of what you preached on yesterday.
Yeah, so as we've transitioned to what do we practically do with all of the theology that we've learned in Romans 1 through 11, Paul kind of turns to a big issue that we struggle with, conformity to the world, which is pride. And how do we fight pride? And that's with humility. And so then he begins to unpack, well, that humility needs to be found in our relationship with Christ and the grace given to us in our faith, realizing that it's actually God who measures that faith out to us and gives us that faith to even believe in Him. And then the third one was that we're a part of the body, that we're not just individual Christians who can do our own thing and it's isolated to us. We're part of a bigger body and members of it, and it's humbling to think that I need other people and their spiritual growth and their sanctification for me to grow and for me to have this humble attitude of service towards the body because I'm a part of the body. And so I think, Paul, it's really helpful to kind of use those three categories to fight conforming to the world, but having a transformed, renewed mind with this sober judgment that he kind of gets into the beginning of verse 3.
Yeah. I had a pastor one time say that, especially in the United States and our part of the world, people come to church to be consumers of spiritual goods and services.
Yeah.
And you didn't say that directly, but you said, that's a tendency we often have as we go to the church website and we look at the staff and like, those are the people that are going to make things happen. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people maybe not struggle with it, but why do you feel like that's kind of a default mindset to think, the church is there to provide these services and I'm here to show up and consume?
Well, in one sense, and kind of what I briefly mentioned, like we're not taking away the importance, right, the ordained providential use of elder and deacon in the church. Like, those are very important. But I think when we have this consumer mindset, right, when you're wanting to consume anything, and now in our day and age, you can look it up and see what's kind of the best option and who are the best professionals at providing the service that I'm looking for. And so I think we just subconsciously kind of go and look at that. And it's why a lot of times there's so much, I didn't talk about this on Sunday, but so much buzz and energy around church plants, right? Because when you're a part of a church plant, you know that you have to help row the boat. Everybody is needed to get it going, and the chairs need to be put out, and classrooms need to be assembled, and we need Sunday school teachers and volunteers. And so as when our church grows and matures and you start getting staff, you're like, well, we're paying someone now to specialize in that and oversee that. And again, there's an importance to having structure and having people who are skilled at being able to lead in distinct ways. But at the same time, they are just a supplement to helping. They are not the source of the body and things that need to be done. So I think sometimes it's just easy to say like, yeah, they're better at it than I am, so why would I even want to help when we just have someone who can do it better than I can?
Yeah. One other question I have of you too, and I love the illustration you used of let's say a football team where you have 11 people playing on offense, 11 people playing on defense, and then you have a vast majority of the team that's there on the sideline. I know that we're focused on a Bible passage, and that's what we're supposed to exegete and go through with a fine-tooth comb, and we're not really supposed to do that with illustrations. But as I was thinking up at that illustration, I think that's so applicable to the church because on a team, a football team like a high school team, you have seniors, they're experienced, they're there to mentor the younger ones. The younger ones are look to them. Everybody's supposed to participate in practice and cheering one another on. And I don't know if you're quite ready to maybe extrapolate on that a little bit more. Like I said, you can be, exegeting illustrations can be a dangerous thing, but I just thought it was so good. How could we maybe apply that a little bit more to the church setting?
Well, what made me think about it was, again, when we taught that spiritual gifts class back in 2019, and I mean, everybody it's like pulling teeth trying to get people to talk about any gifts that they have.
You didn't yell at them, did you?
No, I did try to shame them into not, because they didn't use their gifts, but they would just, it was like if they're willing to talk, then they kind of said, well, again, I don't know if this counts, but, and they were just, and I had to finally tell them, like, look, y'all are minimizing the gifts that the Lord has given you to edify and build people up. And it does count. Like, you're not the one who's trying to be able to measure the impact. We don't have the foresight to measure impact like that. And as you're on a football team, and maybe you're not the starter, like you still don't have the ability to measure the impact of you being at practice every day and you trying hard and, you being a good team member. But you do realize, like, I'm a part of this team. Like, I'm connected to this team, and the success of this team is my success. And much like a church, like the health of the church and the body of the church and the imputation of Christ and his righteousness, like we're all connected through that. And so we get to have, in one sense, like, I always say this, like, we don't have present day hindsight, but we have future hindsight, right? And the future hindsight is like, yeah, the things that I do have an impact and they do count because the Lord's going to return. Like, he's going to renew the earth. Like he's rewarding us for our faithfulness. And so I think for all, members of Cahaba Park and the church body as a whole is to say, God has appointed me gifts and chosen me to be a part of his body because he wants me to experience him more, experience his kingdom growing more, experience his glory more. And that happens in just a manifold ways of endless possibilities of large impact, small impact, but it's the daily obedience and the faithfulness and the trust and the treasuring the Lord is what he's after. And so he's gifted us the opportunities to do that and to experience him more through his gifts. And I said this yesterday, like, after experiencing, when I shared that example of the guy who gave me the opportunity to coach, you just have this very humbling, overwhelming awe of the Lord working in your life. And then it kind of, my hardness of heart of sin, like, it kind of fades away. But I'm like, why am I not more addicted to wanting to experience more opportunities like that? And it's like, well, the Lord's like, well, here I am giving you gifts that they're gifts that I've given to you to work through you, for you to experience me working, just like in that one example, for you to feel that awe and that humility and that worship of who I am when I share my gifts with you. And so wanting to pursue that as much as possible.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, John. Thank you for your hard work and for bringing us God's word and for encouraging us. And I hope that that many others will consider what it means to spur one another towards love and good deeds, as the writer of Hebrews says. And if you haven't had an opportunity to be able to listen to or watch the sermon yet, we would encourage you to go back and do that. So thank you for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.